What if one of the biggest reasons relationships struggle isn't because people stop loving each other? What if they simply stopped caring? I know that probably sounds a little strange because most of us think that they're the same thing, but I don't think that they are. Welcome back to Purposely Peaceful. I'm Jessica, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm also a quantum hypnosis practitioner. And after finally arranging our schedules, I have finally coordinated enough time to have my husband join me, who's right here looking at me. And we've been together for almost 17 years, and over that time, I've noticed something both in our marriage and in the thousands of clients that I've worked with. We spend a lot of time talking about communication, conflict, boundaries, and love languages. Those things absolutely matter, but I think there's something underneath all of them that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's caring. Not caring as a feeling, caring as a way of showing up, especially in relationships. So today we're talking about what caring actually means to us and why we think it's one of the most important qualities in a healthy relationship. And it's how it's shaped our marriage over the last 17 years. I want to give a little brief history as to how we got here. We've known each other forever, almost.
33 years.
I mean, I wasn't counting like that.
I always count like that.
Okay, I don't know.
We've known each other for a super long time, but when we were in middle school, I had the biggest crush on her, and I don't even think she knew it at the time. I became in love with her.
But funny story here, we didn't actually get together at that point. So I'm pretty sure I knew he had a crush on me. I didn't want to pursue things further at that time. And so life at some point kind of drifted off and went to a different direction. He kind of did his own thing. I did mine. During that time, had some major life experiences, and part of that was being in a relationship that happened to be a very unhealthy one. Had 3 beautiful children from that relationship. By the time that we reconnected, it was always very organic to us how it evolved. I see that it was not typical for us to be in our early 20s and then deciding to be in a relationship, having 3 kids. But here we are 17 years later, now talking about what it takes to have a healthy relationship. There are times where we've been at odds, where it hasn't been easy, where we have probably questioned what the heck we're doing, but we have always figured out how to come back stronger. I don't know if I'm exaggerating here, but I feel like it's the best that it's ever been.
Yeah, our relationship is great.
When we're growing up, whether we recognize it or not, we are picking up cues from everyone that we see.
We only kind of know what we've seen on movies, what we've seen in our families and things like that until you're really in a relationship or a marriage. And that's how you can really find out how to navigate through that.
There's a couple things that I want to take into consideration because I think that number one, we were young. So when we got together, there was just a whole lot of not knowing yet, right? There was a huge period of time where we were just learning through experience, which is what made it really hard at times. Long story short, here we are, and our journey has been fun, hard, good times, some sad times. What I really want to focus on is defining what care is. What does it mean? And I've never really heard it being spoken this way, but this is just how I look at it. As a therapist, when I see people having relationship issues, I'm able to pick up patterns, I'm noticing things, and then I'm kind of looking at our relationship and I'm noticing kind of like, well, how do we do it? And one of the themes that seems to be reoccurring is that people stop caring. There's a point where there's enough problems in a relationship where they just kind of stop. Like they just turn it off and they just stop interacting. They stop trying. They stop being affectionate. They stop saying, I love you, and doing all these different things. And so what's that one thing that the relationship requires is caring. The word caring to me is a little different than the way that you would typically use it. To me, it's an act of showing up for your person. So that means that you take time to be affectionate, to be thoughtful, to allow the day to have a pause in this moment where maybe you guys are hugging or there's a kiss or there's something there, but it's the act of actually caring. One of the ways that I like to explain it to my clients, like, you know, when you have a newborn baby and the baby requires a lot of care, and that means you're very attentive to their needs. Do they need a diaper change? Do they need a bottle? Do they need to be burped? Think about that level of caring. That is what I'm talking about. That is what we want to bring into a relationship. And so we really want to get into how that looks like, what it looks like, and all that kind of stuff, so that maybe this is something that can help you in your relationships.
When I think of the word care, I really feel like caring for the person that's going to be with you till the end of time, showing up for the person when they need you the most, giving credit when credit is due, just making the person you care about feel like they're being cared for.
Yeah, so it really is about showing up and really being attentive. To be fair, I didn't know that this was a thing up until recently. Like, I didn't notice as a pattern, but I do think that part of where this was inspired was through the 5 love languages. And I don't remember much about our quizzes. I just remember the way that I've applied it over the years. So, for example, I think mine's acts of service, and then yours was words of affirmation and physical touch. So when I know he's having a hard day, I take that into consideration, and then I'm like, oh, like I'm going to give him a hug, or the hug's going to last a little bit longer, or I'm going to rub his back or something. Like, he knows that for every holiday, birthday, Mother's Day, he's like, what do you want? I'm like, just clean the house. Just clean the house. That would mean the world to me. That's kind of the way that we've used it over the years, but I want to get into the specifics so you can actually apply it in your life.
When do you feel the most cared for by me?
If I'm having a hard day, or he knows I have a headache or something like that, he's kind of like, okay, I got it. And vice versa, right? Like, how does it look like when I do that for you?
If I'm having a hard time, give me a shoulder rub, or let me know everything's going to be okay because we're in this together. I can't really speak too much more on it, but I just feel like just letting each other know that we're like really in this together, so there's no hiccups in life. Or when the hiccups do come, we're a team.
I want to give an example of what it looks like when maybe someone doesn't care. So on occasion, I've had different couples come in over the course of my career, and sometimes one of them would come in, and let's say I would have the intake with the husband, and he would say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what I want to work on. And then at the next session, then the spouse would join. One of the things that I would notice is the husband in this situation was very engaging, very thoughtful, really trying to like present different things to talk about. And the wife in this case was completely shut down. She was super tense and like rigid, no expression, looked mad the whole time, like she didn't even want to look at me. I don't know really deep down inside what was going on, but like just on the surface of what I can see in that 1 hour that we had was she just wasn't trying. She wasn't trying to answer anything. She wasn't trying to have conversation. She wasn't trying to contribute to anything. She just didn't want to. But I've also seen couples that have had infidelity, that have had all kinds of different stuff. And what it looks like for them to show up and actually both try to the best of their ability, it says everything. And so I've seen couples that have very minor issues and they're not able to resolve it. And then I've seen people have really hard, almost relationship breaking struggles, and they're able to repair it and come back stronger together. This is why I think caring is absolutely essential and part of a thriving relationship, because you have to have that all along the way. Doesn't mean that you don't show up for someone when they're upset. You can still care for someone and have anger. You can still care for someone and be upset. So how is it when we're having our moments?
When we're having a spat, how does care show up for us? Well, it's like, hey, I kind of force myself back onto her. You know what I mean? I fucking just leech on.
It's not that intense, but yeah. Okay. So when one of us is struggling, what is it that you see that we do to like still show up for each other and care?
I feel like we act as a team, right? If I'm falling back on something at home or falling behind on something, like you seem to come up and pick up the pieces that I'm leaving behind, and vice versa. I do the same for her. It's like if the house needs to be cleaned up and she's feeling like crap, I'm gonna do my part and do what I gotta do. If I didn't turn something in or do something, she's gonna remind me and she's gonna be like, hey, didn't we have to do this? Or so it's just keeping each other accountable, but at the same time, being aware of each other's moods so one of us can step in when help's needed.
Yeah, and I do think part of this is a level of trust that we've established, because we will do that for each other. This is something that sometimes I think is lacking in some relationships. It's just we're each in our own world and we can live there. So this is a little bit of like, yes, I can still have my own internal struggles. I still need to be present to a certain degree so that he's aware, like, hey, I'm feeling a certain kind of way, or I have a migraine, I'm gonna go rest. And he's like, oh yeah, I got you, right? But if he's having a lot of work to do and he's not able to get it done in his workday, he's going to need me to pick up the slack and do dinner and do different things because he needs to wrap up what he's doing. So there is a constant mindfulness of checking in, looking at each other. We're kind of at the point too where if I see a certain expression on his face, I know exactly what it means. I feel like I'm very good at guessing what he's going to say next, and sometimes I'm totally right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I think she just guesses and she's lucky.
I would say I know him pretty well, and I would say he knows me pretty well, and I give him the look, when he's not doing something he's not supposed to be doing, or I'm not pleased. But usually, if there is some kind of weird look or expression, at some point we do kind of circle back to each other for clarity, like, hey, what do you need, or what's going on, or what do you need help with? I do think that this is a skill that you develop. So if you don't naturally check in with each other all the time, think of it this way. You're living your whole life and you have chosen to marry someone to join you or be in a relationship with, to join you for the majority of that time. How you coexist is everything. It's going to determine how happy or joyful or miserable you're going to be. It's going to play a huge part in how you feel.
Because if you're going to be with somebody, you have to have some type of level of emotional intelligence to understand what they're going through.
Right. And you have to have awareness, and you have to know how you feel, and you have to know how they feel. And it seems like a lot, but it isn't. I think there's a rhythm. I think that we move really good typically. That's not to say that there isn't pressure points, because the last thing I want to do is act like we're perfect, that we don't fight, that we don't have hard times. No, we do. We have all those things. We had a tiff recently, which we will not be discussing today. But it's just life. That's just what makes us human. And it's really about learning to be our best selves while in relationships. So you do have to do some inner work here to figure out how to embody this best relationship or this best version of a relationship.
How do you care about someone when you're frustrated with them?
I typically try not to lash out or say anything. I'm going to use you as an example. So if he does something that I'm upset about, I'm usually not going to be in his face about it. I'm not going to be calling him out on it. I'm not going to be ragging on him. It might feel like that sometimes, but that's not what I'm doing. At some point, I'm recognizing I'm feeling something. I'm not telling anyone, no one knows outside of me that I'm feeling something. And at some point, if I know that it's festering, it's bothering me, and I can't seem to make a resolution on my own, then at that point, I need to, yes, communicate it. But if I don't have time, if I'm not able to communicate it because the kids are around and it's just not the right time, I kind of look at it like this. This situation is like this ball, and I want to hand it to him, but it's not the right time. So I'm just going to pick it up and I'm going to just set it aside. And I'm still going to show up, and I'm still going to help him, and I'm still going to care, and I'm going to give him a hug and do all the things and kind of keep that rhythm of what it looks like to show up for each other and to really truly care. Because I care about him no matter what. If we had problems and if we didn't work out, I would still care about him. I would still want what's best for him. That will never change. Jumping to a different point of the quality of care, right? To me, it's not conditional. I love you because you are, yes, my husband, but you are also a human being, and I give it that value. So that caring, that well-wishing, wanting someone to be successful, thrive, and be happy, I do feel that, and I will always feel that for him and everybody. If you are in a relationship that is quite not at that point of the level of caring that you think would be best for your relationship, let's talk about where these hang-ups. So why do you think people stop caring in relationships?
I think it's because they get lazy. I think it's because they get tired, and sometimes you got to try hard, right? Sometimes you got to care hard. And I think it can be very, very tough for some people because they try very hard and it doesn't seem to work out in the ways that they want it to. I don't want to say it's just laziness, but in a way it's emotional laziness. You don't want to work hard to do something, so you'd rather just get rid of it.
Yeah, and I do believe that a lot of people don't know how. They don't know how to overcome that. But one of the things that I kind of say a lot in a lot of the episodes that I've done previously is it's the inner work, right? By nature, if I am working on myself and I'm doing my inner work and I'm healing a lot of different things within myself, at some point or another, certain things that we were doing or certain ways that we were relating will not be okay anymore. And when that pressure point hits, what happens is a lot of people shut down. Right? I could be like, hey, Jimmy, I don't like how this is working. Can we figure it out? He can be like, no, I don't want to. But that's not what he does. This man, he will say, okay, let me hear you out. And a lot of times it's not easy to hear what I'm saying. And I can see that he's having a hard time, like, wait, what? But there's this beautiful thing that he does is that eventually he goes and he like thinks about it, he reflects about it, and he'll come back to me and be like, hey, I've been thinking about it, and this is what I've been thinking, or this is what's coming up. And then that's really how we actually meet each other. No offense, I am a little bit more emotionally mature than him, only because it is my job. I do this for a living, and I also love to do my own inner work. I love self-help books. Like, it's just the arena that I'm in. I'm a little bit over here, and what happens is like he might be here. And so we start having friction at this point. And so when we're having friction, he can shut down and say, you know what, like, I don't want to do that. I don't have to change. I don't want to. That's just not what he does. He goes and he reflects and he does his own inner work, his own figuring out, and he'll be like, okay, like I think I know where to meet you now. And he'll usually come back and finish that conversation. Not the same day, sometimes. Sometimes it takes many conversations for us to get to a place of like, okay, we both feel good. And it's not always perfect. At the end of the day, this man always meets me where I'm at. And sometimes he's a little bit wiser than me, and I got to meet him where he's at. And it is a little bit of like, you know, an evolution. When we're getting to a point of conflict, I don't really perceive it as a bad thing. I don't look at it as the end. I just look at it like, okay, here's another growing pain. Here's another thing that requires some attention and some care so we can figure out how to overcome it.
We kind of grew up together, right? So it's hard for me to speak on someone that's just got together or been with their person for a couple of years and they're in their 30s or whatever. We got together in our early 20s, and as we're moving into our life, I don't want to say how old we are, but we're in it, you know? And I know one thing is I would never want to lose her, right? As someone that is with me, because like, look at her. It's freaking beautiful, you know? And But at the end of the day, it is really serious to be able to get on her level. She is a therapist. I'm not. It's super hard for me to kind of dig deep into my emotions and figure it out. But I know that it'd be better for not just me, but for the both of us to do that.
And he does it. The takeaway here is that at the end of the day, we are both trying over and over and over, even when there were some pressure points in the past where we're like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if this is going to work. But we were able to overcome those things because we kept trying. We didn't give up. And we keep trying to meet each other wherever we're at. And I do think that that in itself is the act of caring. But it goes further than that into the little moments in your day. And so this might look like I'm rushing out the door. So this is something that he usually does. He's rushing out the door, but he will still run back and give me a kiss if I'm awake, and then he'll leave. Like, I don't know what happens when I'm sleeping, but I would assume
I still do it.
Right. So it shows up like that in these like little moments, or it could be like, hey, I'm gonna get a cup of water. You want some too? Like, it could be so simple. Or sometimes we're in the kitchen, we'll just kind of have a moment where we're hugging. And there's points where like we're setting up the cameras right here or whatever, and I'm like, smack his butt. So it shows up in all these different ways. And so think about how it looks like in your day, in the little moments, because that's really at the end of the day where it counts. It's the little moments and how you handle conflict. Those are the two areas where you want to make sure, can I set aside all of those hard feelings, even for a moment, just to show up for my person, this person that I've chosen to live life with. And it doesn't mean I'm ignoring anything. It doesn't mean I'm justifying or not bring up certain things. Yes, we will still discuss hard things. There were points in time where like I was upset, and I would be upset for days because I wanted him to understand how upset I was. And it just didn't work. It doesn't work for his personality. He's so hurt when I do that. That's not what I want to create in this person that I'm going to share my life with. My husband doesn't deserve that, and so I'm not going to do that. That was just coming from a place of immaturity and not knowing how to handle conflict. If this can spare someone a few fights, why not put ourselves out there and just share a little bit of like how we see it and how we navigate it? You know, maybe it could help somebody.
What's one thing that I do that makes you feel cared for?
I feel like it's like a lot of things. There's a lot of little things that you do. So my love language is acts of service. So when I feel like I'm tired or I don't feel good, or he knows I got a lot of work to do or whatever, him just saying, hey, I'm going to cook dinner, don't worry about it, like that's everything to me. Like, I don't like going to the store for like any reason at all, actually. And so if we need lettuce or something, he's like, I'll be right back. I'll go get it. Oh, we need buns. Let me do that. And so those acts shows me like you care enough to like inconvenience your time a little bit to go and help us.
What's one thing that you hope we never stop doing?
Just like random hugs and embraces. I think that's like really special because there's no reason for it. It's just like a moment that we have together. Okay, so one final question for you. After 17 years of being together, what makes you feel the most cared for from me?
I think one of the most important things that you do that shows me that you care for me, it's going to sound cliche, but is being intimate. I feel like that's something that's super important. And above all else.
Oh, come on. So the way I look at it, when you care for one another, there is the natural expression that you get to experience with one another through intimacy. And so to me, that is just another more intentional and much more deeper layer to creating a healthy, long-lasting relationship.
So we're going to be creating more videos because I think it's important for people to kind of understand what it takes to be in a good relationship. It's not super hard work. It's just exercise.
I guess, but it is some work there.
It's just exercise, guys. If there's anything that you guys would want us to touch on, let us know.
This is our first video. We didn't practice. We are just winging it. We knew we wanted to talk about caring, and we wanted to share a little bit insight of what that means, because as we continue other episodes, I want you guys to look at it this way, that this is a very foundational skill that is weaved into our lives. And so I do think that because we have the skill of really nurturing, caring, and having this affection toward one another, it really helps all the other things that sometimes relationships bring to the surface, which are not always easy. And this guy has ADHD, and he can be all over the place, a little messy and disorganized. And I am the opposite. I want to be very organized. I want things to look a certain way. I could be a little rigid sometimes. And so us coming together and living life has not been easy, and we do get annoyed with each other sometimes, but it is all about what matters most. And at the end of the day, we care about each other, not so much how things look, right? Those are, at the end of the day, surface level irritants. I think one of the biggest takeaways from today's conversation is that caring isn't just something that we feel, it really is something that we practice. And anyone can do it. It's about paying attention and staying curious. It's noticing when someone you love is caring a little bit more than usual. It's choosing over and over again to show up in ways that make the other person's life just a little bit easier. And that doesn't mean that relationships are always easy. It doesn't mean we've always got it right. Far from it. But I do think caring is what keeps us moving back toward each other when life inevitably pulls us apart. So I'm going to leave you with the question: what does caring mean to you? Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube or follow the podcast wherever you listen. I'll catch you guys on the next one.